Hello everyone, welcome to our channel, Doom Productions, home of the No Budget Film School, and if you didn't know, we just made a feature-length film. Well, we didn't just make it, we just released it. Last Friday we released Video Carnage, which we've been working on for about 2 months. Go check it out if you haven't already seen it. If you have seen it, check it out again, or share it with your friends and family on whatever social media platform you're on. That'd be really awesome of you if you all could just share it with as many people as you can, because we're trying to get it seen by as many people as we can. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the writing process of Video Carnage. I wanted to give you all an idea of what it's like to write a feature-length film, but also specifically what it was like writing Video Carnage, this feature-length film. So if you're interested in screenwriting, or if you're a fan of Video Carnage and want to know more about how it was made, this is the video for you. Like all movies, Video Carnage started off with an idea. We got that idea about last fall, in September or October. Now, if you've seen Video Carnage, you know that Mike, the main character, digitizes tapes for kind of his side hustle, his living. That's something that we do, actually. That's his exact business is something we do on the side just to try to earn a little extra cash. Last fall, we were working through a pretty big job that we had for a client. We had to convert about 70 to 60 tapes or so. And during watching all this footage, I kind of got the idea of, what if this is so many tapes, has this client, the person who hired us for this, have they even seen all this? Do they even know what it is? Wouldn't it be kind of crazy if there was something really incriminating or like evil on one of these tapes, like a murder or a ghost or some incriminating evidence? And that kind of just sparked my imagination. And from that idea, from that little bit of real life inspiration, that birthed Video Carnage. So that's how the whole idea came together. And it's a good example of pull from your real life when you're screenwriting. I know something that we probably all do as screenwriters is we sit down and we write down all the ideas that come to us. We're trying to, brainstorm and sketch out kind of movie ideas, things we'd want to see, and really kind of crank our brains into work mode. But you don't always need to do that when you're working on a movie. Sometimes real life will just inspire you. So that's something that I'd recommend for you all to do is, it's good to sit down and brainstorm and do a bunch of automated writing, but it's also good to just to let life, inspire you in different ways. Now, if you've seen my other screenwriting videos, which you can check out in the link in the description, you'll know that something I like to do is I like to show the text and my Google Document stuff on the screen. I'm not going to do that today because there's a lot that you can pour over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the original beat sheet, the original outline, and the shooting draft, or what was going to be our shooting draft, of Video Carnage in the description. That'll just be Google Drive files. You can check those out, read along, and compare and contrast differences. And that just allows me to be able to talk about those documents rather than just spend a lot of time showing you them. So check those out. I'm going to be referring to them as I move forward, but I want to talk about the old version of Video Carnage. When we made Video Carnage, the script was actually drastically rewritten about a week before shooting. So all of the documents in the description, those refer to the original version of the movie that we were going to make. What happened was we had a couple of meetings. We met with May, one of our lead cast members, and we kind of talked about the script. And from those meetings, we felt like, this thing needed to be rewritten quite substantially. And so a week before shooting, that's what we did. And I have the shooting script right here. It's a little bit different. But right now, I just want to focus on the original version. If you look through those documents in the description, you'll notice that there's 2 big changes in the original version of Video Carnage. So one of those changes is the character of Sam. Sam, in the original version, in what we were going to shoot, Draft 4 of Video Carnage, is not the same character at all. Sam in that draft, in that version of the movie, they are a character who is kind of like a crime movie archetype. So if you've seen like Pulp Fiction, like think of the wolf, or kind of like the person you go to if you need a job done. They don't necessarily specialize in anything, but they just specialize in getting stuff done. And so Video Carnage, when we first started out, it was a lot more about Mike, and it was really a personal journey for him. And Sam was kind of just this person for Mike to bounce his ideas off of, and Sam would say, no, that's a terrible idea, that's dumb. Sam was also rooted in that crime genre, so they were a character who had their life together, didn't need anything to change, didn't want anything to change, was really just there just as a bouncing board for Mike. So there was no character development for them whatsoever. Because Sam doesn't need to go on a journey, because this is still Mike's journey, what happened in the original version that we were going to shoot was, you know, that there was that moment in Video Carnage where Sam and Mike see the Vincent watching the tapes in the basement. And after that, Sam is like, I'm quit, I'm done, it's over, I'm out. In the original version, you'll notice that what happens then is essentially Mike gives up with Sam, and then Mike eventually realizes through external forces like, no, I can't give up. We've spent too much time on this. We need to go back and we need to finish what we started. And then Sam is like, okay, fine, we'll go and we'll do it. And then it plays out the heist like was originally planned. Mike breaks into the house. Mike steals the tapes. Sam goes along, is purely just on the lookout. And that's the end of the movie. And they take the tapes. It kind of plays out in a similar manner. They take the tapes, they get away, and then there's some extended scenes at the very end, which is something that you'll notice. That's the second biggest change, I think, between the two versions of the movie. The ending is another one. After our movie, the movie that we shot, the movie that we released, ends when the two friends drive off into the night. They've stolen the tapes, and it cuts to credits right there. The version we were gonna shoot ended with a little bit of extra stuff. They stole the tapes, and then there was kind of that typical terrible kind of Hollywood wrap up, like, things are looking out for the better by the very end. That just didn't feel right with me. It was something that, I knew that I knew we were going to change that ending to some extent. I didn't know to what extent, but I just didn't change it in the script. And, I had concerns about the ending. I kind of had concerns about the heist. It felt a little too generic. These people make a goal to do something and they go and they do it and it happens exactly how they planned. That just felt a little, that didn't feel right with me. Also, Mike, I think while in that moment when Sam sees the Video Carnage for the first time, it makes sense for them to quit, but it doesn't make sense for Mike to quit just because Sam quit. So Mike's motivations kind of felt muddy and didn't really flow. Something I really love to do when I'm working on movies is I sit down with all the cast members or whoever the main cast is. I sit down with the crew and I just talk to them about the script and we go over it and we kind of analyze it and talk about what it's all about, what's there, what does it mean, and get their input. And worst case scenario, they give me a bad idea and I don't use it. Best case scenario, they end up changing the movie for the better. And when we met with May, they vocalized all these things that I was feeling about the script of, this felt a little generic, Sam doesn't have much going on, blah, blah, blah. And after we met with them, a week before shooting, it was like, okay, I'm gonna rewrite the script. And so I did. Now, because I rewrote the script a week before shooting, as I'm sure you can imagine, that is a lot of work to get into preparing for a movie. Usually, if you know me, if you heard me talk about it, what I really love to do is I like to have the script. I like to go through many different versions of the script and really kind of make it as good as it can be on the page. And then what I do is I move on to a storyboard book, which is something kind of like this. This isn't exactly it, but I'll just get a sketchbook and I will literally draw out the entire movie and I'll write in every single line of dialogue. I'll draw in every single cut in the movie. And it effectively is a comic book that if I picked up the book, I could just read it on its own and it would make total sense as to what the story is, how it would be edited, what the lines are, all that kind of stuff would be in the book. Now, even before I had to rewrite the script, we were pushing it very close because I knew I wanted to get this movie shot and finished in March. Spoiler alert, that didn't happen. It is now May, almost June. So even in the old version, I didn't really have much time to visualize the whole story. Essentially what I did was I ended up just doing some crappy little quick sketches in a notebook that wasn't really a full detailed storyboard book, but it was kind of a similar thing. And then after I decided to rewrite the script, I had even less time. So this storyboard book is marked up with different boards, different kind of notes. It's all scratched out. It's all messy. I was very, very visually and kind of cinematically disorganized on this movie, I think. This was a very stressful process purely for that, because I did not get the chance to visualize the entire movie before we shot the movie. And I felt very, very unprepared when it came to planning this whole movie out. I really felt like I was making it up as I went along for the most part. I mean, some things were planned out visually, but for the most part, I felt totally out of my element. I don't think I'll be making a movie like this again where I don't storyboard it out. Like I said, I found that's the process that works best for me. And it's something that, it's just how I work. It's just how I work best. And that's how it is. Back to the script. I really want to point out only two things with the script. Essentially, what you'll find with the script, if you were to read through this, is you'll find that the script actually is not that much different from the finished film. There's two big differences between the script and the movie that we shot. The first one is a lot of fat trimming. There are a lot of scenes in the script that started a little bit too early and ended a little bit too late. And I'm sure you've all heard that screenwriter advice that it's best to arrive late and finish early. In the script, there's a lot of scenes that don't follow that rule. There's a lot of scenes that really just kind of drag on for a little bit, that just kind of go a little bit too long or start a little bit too early. And so a big difference between this script and the movie is in the editing stage, it was that final pass of the story where I was able to just edit those down, tighten things up a little bit. So if you were to read the script, again, you would notice that there's just a lot of kind of scenes are tighter, and I think they turned out a lot better than they are in the script. Another huge change that you'll notice, probably the only big change that you'll notice if you read the shooting script, is there is one scene that was deleted entirely. Now, we shot the scene, it was written in the script, and we shot it, but we ended up cutting it out of the movie. This scene takes place after the talk where Sam and Mike are sitting in the car, and Sam is talking about how life is pointless. After that scene, it was going to cut to this scene. Oh, you're up.
Yeah, how are we going?
Not till tonight.
It's tonight.
Phase 2.
Phase 2 of what?
Our operation.
You have an operation?
So we have a fairly solid idea of what Vincent's schedule is like, but we still have no idea where he keeps his tapes. So the way I see it, we have one or two options. We can either keep stocking him more than we already have been stocking him, or we can just break in.
Do I get a vote in this?
No, not at all. But Vincent never leaves his house long enough for us to be able to search his entire house. But we don't need to be able to search the entire house. We just need to get in there long enough to be able to search one floor while he's gone.
So I was saying, like, while he's out for 20 minutes to run to the store, get in, search the basement, get out.
And only the basement. We'll only search the basement. Then we just repeat it for each day.
You've seen how much of a neat freak this guy is. If you leave mud, dirt, hair, he's gonna find it.
I'll be careful.
Yeah, I really don't know about this one.
Trust me, it's gonna work.
No, you keep saying that, but we've hardly made any progress.
But we haven't gotten caught.
Mike, I really don't feel up for doing this today. Just go without me.
No, you're imperative to the mission.
Why? All I do is eat chips while you spy on this guy.
I trust you more than anyone, and if something goes wrong, I need to know that you have my back.
I do have your back, but this is a dangerous idea. Now it's getting boring.
Give me another week.
A week.
Just 1 week, and then you'll be done with this.
I want to be done with this now.
I will buy you whatever food you want for each day. And I'm not talking about just chips, candy, whatever. I'm talking about fast food.
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
1 week.
Yes.
1 more week, and then I'm out.
And then after that scene, it would cut to the sequence where Sam and Mike see Vincent watching the tapes in the basement. The main reason that this scene was cut was really for pacing, and kind of it muddied up the story a little bit. It didn't really work to have a scene in which Sam says, I really want to be done, I want to quit. Then Mike bribes them with food and stuff to undercut that tension and drama in the following scene where they see the video Carnage tapes. It's a nice idea, and I think in a different version of the story where we're a little bit more focused on the details of the heist, but that's something that's really glazed over in our movie. We don't really go into details other than just vague, we're going to pick the locks. I think if you were to dive into more of the technical details of how are they going to get in, what locks are they going to use, what kind of locks does Vincent have, does he have a security system, if we were going to get into all that, and it was a much more technical movie, I think a scene like that would probably work, where if we want to have a little bit more time for Sam to kind of consider, should I drop out or should I drop out now? But it just didn't work in our movie to have Sam say, I want to be done, than to actually quit in the next scene. We thought it was just better to have Sam just along for the ride, a passive passenger, if you will, and then something happens to make them quit. It makes that a little bit stronger. That's a great example of Kill Your Darlings, because a lot of times you shoot a lot of stuff that you really, really like, but then when you put it all together, it doesn't quite gel. And if you have 3 good things in a movie and you take out 2 of them, that one thing that's really good is going to be a lot more powerful. And that's my advice to you. Now, frankly, I kind of wasn't overly happy with how the deleted scene turned out. That also had an effect on the decision to cut it or not. But yeah, Kill Your Darlings. It's a great piece of advice. It's very cliche, but it's very true. So that is everything for today. I know this was just a very brief summarization of the screenwriting process, but if you have more questions about screenwriting in general or writing this movie, leave a question down in the comments below. I might be able to answer that in just the comments, or I might be able to make a whole video on that. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you found that educational and interesting. If you are interested in seeing more behind the scenes content from Video Carnage, please stay subscribed and just stay tuned for more. We have a lot more interesting stuff in the coming weeks. Share Video Carnage with your friends and family. It'd mean the world to us. Thank you for your viewership and your support, and I will see you on the next video.